He ruled the Russian land and never mind the Tsar, but the Kazachok, he danced really wunderbar. In all affairs of state, he was the man to please, but he was real great when he had a girl to squeeze. For the queen, he was no wheeler dealer. Though she'd heard the things he'd done, she believed he was a holy healer who would heal her son. And that's another verse from Rasputin by Boney M.
Loving it.
Still cannot afford that insane royalty spill. Who knew? Who knew? That's why we need to come up with a hit song. And then we can just like live off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we're going to just explode on the scene anytime right now, become internationally famous. But, you know, in the meantime, have your options open.
Always. I mean, I feel we'd probably be very Milli Vanilli that, you know.
Yes.
But nonetheless, let's do it.
So last time we talked about Rasputin's humble Siberian beginnings and the Tsar Nicholas, but today we're going to talk about Tsarina Alix and Rasputin's slingshot to fame. So I'll go over the sauces. Last podcast on the left had 4 excellent episodes from it's like numbers 310 to 313 or 314. I read Rasputin, the
I didn't read
story
shit.
by Joseph
Well, I
T.
am reading
Furman.
a book, but it's not Rasputin.
Well, like I didn't really read it. I had it on Audible, but I
actually-
paid for it.
I'm actually reading the book that I'm using for my research right now.
Listen,
With my whole eyeballs and everything.
when did you get so bourgeois?
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Bourgeois.
Yes.
Rasputin, The Devil in the Flesh, Wikipedia, Encyclopedia Britannica, NPR, and The Last Tsars, which is a Netflix miniseries that is only about 70 to 80% factual.
Oh, okay. You got to have some drama, otherwise it just gets boring.
They have some really awkward, long love scenes that I'm like, this is
Awkwardly long.
awkwardly long. Like, oh, it's gonna cut out any second now. Any second.
I'm gonna go make some popcorn. Okay, they're still going. All right. Well,
It's like when I was talking about Rasputin being a Khaleesi last time and how they would be in the basement. It would be like the dancing and then they'd all like start having sex. That was an awkwardly long ass scene after the Tsar and the Tsarina got married. I was like, man, this is not HBO.
Skinamax.
After hours. Okay, so not only did Nicholas fumble decision after decision, Alix was also extremely unpopular with the Russian subjects. So let's talk about her. She was shy and had an introverted nature. I can't read. Was interpreted as arrogance and coldness, and she struggled to win friends. The Russian court judged her as devoid of charm, wooden, cold eyes, and holds herself as if she swallowed a yardstick, which is a nice way to say, that bitch got to stick up her ass. Thinks she better than us. She also struggled to communicate. She was German-born, raised in England, so English and German, she had that shit on lock. But of course, you need to speak Russian in Russia. And also, French was the official language of the Russian court, weirdly. And she did not start to learn those languages until she became the Tsarina.
Oh.
Like, I'm gonna make sure that rings on this finger before I decide to dedicate time to studying.
I mean, I don't blame her.
You don't know what'll happen.
I did not get into watching any of the nerd shit until JJ put a ring on this finger. You think I was going to use my time to watch Harry Potter and The Lord of the Rings? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
And now that we're married, I still don't. But that's not the point.
You're slowly getting there. Just the references.
I go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal with them and frolic about and drink butterbeer. I mean, that's close enough, right?
Butterbeer is so
Oh, I
good.
can't wait to have it. I was looking at booking our trip last night, and I cannot wait to drink it again. It's so delicious. The butterbeer ice cream is on point, too, FYI.
There's not a day that goes
time.
by that I don't have a butterbeer or Dole Whip recipe somehow come through my feed. And
Dole
I'm like,
Whip. Yeah.
oh my God, I haven't had a Dole Whip in so long.
Emma said we're eating one every day that we're there. And I was like, I'm not here to hate on you, girl.
Say
I'm here to fulfill
less.
your dreams.
Camilla's been telling me lately, yes, King. And I'm like, King, okay.
All right.
That means I got cojones.
It's true. Right.
So Alexander failed to understand her public role as an empress. So traditionally, the empress led the social scene and hosted all the balls and stuff like that. But Alexandra was like super shocked by the love affairs and the gossip that plagued these parties. She was super religious, and I guess because she grew up with her grandmother, Queen Victoria, that I guess that stuffy British stick up the ass atmosphere. Just
See, that's what happens when you shield your kids from the world too much. They get out there and there's fucking hooligans and whores all about, and they don't even understand that was going on the whole time.
So basically, she was a prude, and she made her own list of the hoes of the court to make sure they would be left off the invitation list. And then she realized there would be no one left, and that's how it would be like, Russian court sounds fun then.
Right? The whole list sounds like the fun girls.
Sounds like shit goes crazy. And one of her first balls, Alexandra sent a lady in waiting to reprimand a young woman in a low-cut gown. Her Majesty wants me to tell you that in Hesse-Darmstadt, we don't wear our dresses this way. The unnamed woman replied, pray tell Her Majesty that in Russia, we do wear our dresses this way.
So basically, she said, tell her to fuck off.
Exactly. Bitch, say what? Hate on me. You hate me because you ain't me. She dreaded social functions, and she enjoyed being alone with Nicholas. So she did not host the balls and the parties that the Tsarina normally would. Members of the imperial family resented that. She closed off their access to the Tsar in the inner court. Like, she made it like a very uncool kids club. We all had that friend that was like all about her boyfriend. Feels like that. And they just wanted to be like alone all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Barf.
Gag me with a spoon. And just like many daughter-in-laws, she had a shit relationship with her mother-in-law. Unlike other European courts of the day, Russian protocol gave the dowager empress seniority and rank to the empress. So like Queen Mother would have been like a bigger and more important role than the wife of the king at the time. At royal balls, Marie, which was his mama, would come on the arm of Nicholas first out, and then she would come out with like one of the Grand Dukes. So she felt like she was being upstaged to these parties that she did not even want to fucking attend.
Sounds like a regular old bitch.
Marie was so like used to this being a tradition that she was like, what? When Alexandra was bitter about her junior role at court, like, are you serious right now? I was talking about this story last night. Jimmy goes, this feels like I'm watching Drunk History.
You are, sir.
Yes, that's exactly how it went. There was a lot of indirect quotes. So Alexandra also was a huge advocate on the divine right of kings and believed that it was unnecessary to attempt to secure the approval of the people. Like, he's appointed by God. Like, bitch, what else you need? My love and adoration? I think not. And so she refused to court the public and believed that the Russian people just like automatically loved him and loved the emperor and they loved the empress, and they like, there was nothing they could do. They shit gold bricks basically in her eyes. Somebody's really obsessed with themselves.
Right?
But anyways, when she and Nicholas were traveling to Crimea by train, hundreds of peasants wore their best clothes and waited overnight to see the imperial couple. Nicholas went to the window and waved, and Alexandra refused to open the curtains and even acknowledge anybody.
Rude.
And so the dowager empress, Marie, was like, and this is a direct quote. This one is a quote. Alexandra thinks the imperial family should be above that sort of thing. What does she mean? Above winning the people's affection? And yet how often she complains of the public's indifference toward her, which I'm like, that's pretty snappy. I like it.
I do too.
Marie. So Queen Victoria worried about Alexandra's unpopularity in her new country, and she advised her granddaughter, I've ruled more than 50 years, and nevertheless, every day I think about what I need to do to retain and strengthen the love of my subjects. It is your first duty to win their love and respect. And Alexandra said, you are mistaken, my dear grandmama. Russia is not England. Here, we do not need to earn the love of the people. The Russian people revere their tsars as divine beings. As far as Petersburg society is concerned, that is something which one may wholly disregard. Like, don't be stupid. So the relationship between Alix and Nicholas was strong, despite all the tribulations they went through. They were deeply in love, but they were two severely inbred rich kids who had never been told no.
Sounds like half the kids here in Texas.
Oh my God, right? League City, I'm looking at you. And so their love was actually a rarity. Most marriages within monarchies are, at the time, were for political alliances. So
Right.
not for love, not just for political advancement. This one was an actual, like, they fell in love with each other.
Cute.
As Tsarina, it was expected of her to provide a male heir to replace Grand Duke George's position as Nicholas's heir presumptive. The Pauline laws, which were implemented by Tsar Paul I, forbade women from taking the Romanov throne as long as any male Romanov was alive. So, sounds pretty sexist, but if Alexander did not bear a son, his heirs would be his brothers and uncles. However, few worried because Alexander was only 23, so she was expected to be able to bear a son soon. But we also know that, like, the uterus rots like 3-week-old bananas. So you better get to pumping them babies out. Their first child was born November 15th, 1895, Olga Nikolaevna Romanova. Despite them disappointing the imperial family and many Russians, Nicholas and Alix were excited, as many first, like, we don't care what it is as long as it's healthy, right?
Right.
A few months after giving birth to Olga, she was pregnant again. But due to the stress of the coronation and everything, she had a miscarriage. There was no announcement made because she had not even publicly confirmed that pregnancy yet. There were also hugely unfounded and malicious rumors in St. Petersburg that Alexandra had been pregnant by a lover and aborted the baby to hide her infidelity, which is awful bold to say in that time of no DNA test.
I know, right?
Who gonna find out?
Right.
Sometimes I'm like, what were you even thinking when you were writing? I wrote, I guess I never realized coat hangers were a thing in early 1900s Russia. What?
You're talking about a coat hanger abortion.
Yes, I know, but it's like, where did that come from? Like, on June 10th, 1897, Alexandra gave birth to her second child and another daughter, Tatiana. Nicholas was happy, but the members of the family were unhappy and worried. When she woke up from the chloroform, as one would do in that time, Alexandra saw the anxious and troubled faces around her and burst into hysterics. She cried, "My God, it is a daughter. What will the nation say? What will the nation say?" Oh, I thought you didn't care what the nation had to say.
Right.
The German Tsarina's popularity continued to suffer from yet again not providing a male heir. Nicholas's brother George said that he was disappointed not to have a nephew to relieve him of his duties. I was already preparing to go into retirement, but it was not to be. He's
Woe is you.
Like, oh my God.
Woe is you. What are you, 25 and you were prepared to retire already?
I was just about to retire. I have no time. How am I supposed to go to Ibiza?
Right? She's still got plenty of time to pump out 16 more kids.
Yeah, plenty of time. On June 26, 1899, party like 1999, Alexandra gave birth to their third child and a daughter, Maria. Queen Victoria sent Alexandra a telegram when Maria was born. I am so thankful that dear Alexei has recovered so well, but I regret the third girl for the country.
Jesus.
Russians also saw the birth of a third daughter that was proof that Alexandra was bad luck. They must have met her.
It's always the woman's fault.
Always. 2 weeks after Maria's birth, Nicholas's brother George died, so he never really got to retire as one would think. I know, it's such a pity living that royal life. And Michael became heir presumptive to the throne. So the courtiers flocked to Michael and treated him as the heir apparent, which freaked Alexandra out. Like, oh fuck. In October 1900, yeah, you should be.
Shut his eyes. It's always the female's fault.
It's always the female. They're just thirsty.
That's all.
In October 1900, Nicholas became ill with abdominal typhus, which I guess is a nice way of saying he was shitting his guts out.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel, How did anyone look at them as divine? Could you imagine him like squatting over a bedpan being like, ah!
Oh, and it was like bad shits too.
Oh, such bad. Like, did they have a oh shit bar or anything to hold on to at least?
I already have a bad stomach. I would die from that if I lived in that time because my stomach would have been like, Maybe that's where I come from. Some people that had that shit, and that's why I still have a.
Yeah, maybe that's how I died in a past life.
Yeah,
just raging horrible diarrhea.
Probably
diphtheria,
exactly
guys. Sorry. I had a flashbacks. I was on the Oregon frontier shitting my guts out right next to a buffalo.
Exactly. I'll probably dream about that tonight.
You would think a Native American might have shot me in the ass. No.
Mm-mm.
Just bacteria.
Yep. Bad water.
Bad water. It was stagnant, but it smelled interesting.
Yeah.
He was confined to bed rest for 5 weeks, and the cabinet was actually forced to discuss what would happen should Nicholas shit himself to death. But at the time, she was actually pregnant with Anastasia, which they didn't know, back in those days, if it was a boy or girl. And she insisted that she be named regent in the hope that she would bear a son. However, Nicholas's ministers refused. If Nicholas died, Michael would become czar.
They were like, that's so cute. But no.
No. The hell that'll happen, okay? Then they said, if it was a boy, though, Michael would renounce the throne and give it to his nephew. Alexandra was not satisfied, and she grew to trust Nicholas's ministers for trying to steal her son's future inheritance. On June 18th, 1901, Alexandra gave birth to Anastasia. Nicholas's sister, Grand Duchess Xenia, exclaimed, "My God, what a disappointment! A fourth girl."
God.
I'm like, how hard would it be to live
fuck you
this
hoes.
time? She's come in the world. Fuck. Oh my God, it's another girl. What the hell?
Give her to the coyotes.
What did the Spartans used to do? Launch those babies off of a cliff or something?
Oh God, did they? That's horrible.
Was it the Spartans? Yeah. Like if they deemed a baby that wasn't good enough, they would throw him off a cliff.
Oh my.
Like, Gobi.
Clutch my pearls.
Jimmy's Fun Facts. While pop culture suggests that ill-born Spartan infants were punted into a chasm at the foot of Mount Taygetus, modern historians generally discount this myth, although the purported reality of this ancient form of eugenics is just as unsettling. The exact order of this process is up for debate, so I will discuss one version. All Spartan infants were bathed in wine instead of water to test their constitution. If they convulsed, they would either be left to die or become a slave. If they passed the first test, the baby would be brought before a council of elders who would check the infant for physical defects. If they had defects, sorry, they would be left to die as well. Some babies were lucky enough to be found and adopted by strangers in the countryside. Most were not so lucky. If they managed to survive these quote-quote tests, the first several years of their lives were still brutal, especially the males. They had to wrestle with extreme isolation, poverty, and bullying to build the necessary toughness to even begin their formal military-style education. Can you say child neglect?
It's probably why there aren't any more Spartans around. Maybe you should have kept all them babies. Your army would have been a little bit bigger.
You might
could have put all the bad babies on the front line, okay? I'm no snowflake, but that's a bit much.
It's a bit much. And so the Russian peasants decided that the empress was not beloved in heaven, or she would have, born a son.
Okay,
so basically,
yeah.
God don't even love her.
God was like, I don't like you, so I'm giving you all girls.
God said her vagina is broken and she can't make no boys. It's always the woman's fault.
Always.
This made the Tsar and the Tsarina turn to religion even harder. It made them prone to becoming victims of spiritual quacks. Grand Duchess Militsa Nikolaevna introduced Alexander to a mystic named Philip Nazir Vakwat. Vakwat? What the fuck?
Was he like, I got just what you need to have a boy. I just got to put a few things up your vagina.
Mainly my penis.
Mainly.
Philip was actually kicked out of med school years previously, but he practiced occult medicine, so we're good.
See? It's like, I just got to dip my dick in this and then dip it in you.
Well,
and you'll
that
be
makes
good.
this even better. He treated people with psychic fluids,
Yes.
astral, and the transformative forces of psychurgy, which sounds like a casting couch, to be honest.
He's like, I got a little acid. Drop this.
Just get in the moment. Feel the vibe.
Have a seat on the couch. Yeah. Let me rub
Seat on
your
the couch.
shoulders.
It's all leather, baby. Rooms to go. He claimed that he could use hermetic medicine and astrology to change the sex of the baby in the womb, giving him the male heir they desperately wished for. Nicholas wrangled a medical diploma from Petersburg Military Medical Academy for Philip and made him state counselor and a military doctor.
That sounds like how every one of the military doctors got in. Just kidding. There's some good ones out there.
I was like, Nicholas's mother, Marie, and his sister, Xenia, and his sister-in-law, Ella, were alarmed and warned him and Alexander to stay away from Philip, but the imperial couple did not heed their advice. In the end of 1901, Alexandra seemed to have become pregnant again, and Philip swore she was carrying a boy.
It's a boy this time. I feel it.
I worked hard to make this boy. Well, something was hard. By the summer of 1902, it was clear the Empress was actually not pregnant. Grand Duke Konstantin Konstantinovich of Russia wrote, "From the 8th of August, we've been waiting every day for the confirmation of the Empress's pregnancy. Now we have suddenly learned that she is not pregnant. Indeed, that there was never any pregnancy, and that the symptoms that led to it supposedly, in fact, were only anemia. In reality, she had had a molar pregnancy. And so on August 19, 1902, she suffered a discharge of a spherical fleshy mass the size of a walnut, which Dr. Ott confirmed was a dead fertilized egg in the 4th week of gestation. To save face, the court physicians published a bulletin on the 21st of August claiming that Alexandra had a straightforward miscarriage without any complications, which sounds like those words negate each other, like miscarriage complications.
Yeah.
Humiliated, Alexandra sent Philip to France, and before he left Russia, Philip was like, you go to the
Quack doctor.
you go to Seraphim, a Serav, and he'll grant you a son. And who is Seraphim? He's one of the most renowned Russian saints. Well, I guess renowned in Russia. I've never heard about him prior to this. And is venerated in the Eastern Orthodox Church in the Anglican Communion. And like many saints, he had been dead for about 70 years at that point.
Oh, okay. So she was just going to go like pray to the statue?
Well, at that time, it was popular belief that saints' corpses would be incorrupt, meaning that they were so divine that their bodies would not rot. They would look like the day that they died.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This was not the case with Seraphim, though. And it was officially
Or any of the rest of them.
Yeah. It was ascertained by a commission that researched his grave in 1903. In 1903, Alexandra and Nicholas decided to support the canonization of Seraphim regardless of the signs of corruption. He was actually a monk in the Tambov region who had supposedly performed local miracles. The Metropolitan of Moscow reluctantly agreed to canonize the saint, and on the 19th of August, Alexandra and Nicholas bathed in the Sarov spring in which Seraphim had once bathed and prayed that the sacred waters would bless them with the sun. And by 1904, she was pregnant again. There was high anticipation for a son, which I feel like saying that is like an understatement. And as her due date grew near, a newspaper noted that a few days we will decide whether the Tsarina is to be the most popular woman in Russia or regarded
most hated.
Yeah, or regarded by the great bulk of the people as a castaway under the special wrath of God.
Jesus.
I know. They're hardcore. On August 12th, 1904, she gave birth to Alexei Nikolaevich in Peterhof Castle. Or I think it's Castle. Palace? Peterhof Palace. Shortly after his birth, the doctor...
Oh, was it he?
It was he, yeah.
All right.
Alexei.
That could be a boy or a girl, so I was slightly confused.
That's true.
You really belt me up, Jennifer, and I was still hanging on there trying to find out what happened.
So after his birth, the doctors realized that he had the inherited curse of hemophilia.
Oh.
They cut his umbilical cord. But
and that was it? He was done?
Well, no, he didn't die.
Ah.
Yet. I'm going to tell you later. When they cut the umbilical cord, it did not clot, and he lost an eighth to a ninth of the total quantity of his blood in 48 hours.
Mm.
How much blood do you have to lose before it's the point of no return in a baby, you think?
I don't know.
Well, I was hoping the nurse would know.
I don't take care of children.
I don't keep it. Well, okay, well, what about adults? Is it like 80% of your blood supply?
Oh, no, you'd be dead but way before that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Girl, you can't have just a couple drops flowing through you.
I guess I didn't think about it like that. I mean, I guess I feel like most days I'm running on a few drops of blood.
Same. I don't know the exact amount, to be honest with you. I don't.
It's never a good thing.
I just know, like, when you're at, a 7 or below, you got to get a blood transfusion. I'm normal is a 13 to 14, so I guess half.
Oh, my God. That's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, especially when you're this big. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You're stupid.
It was quite apparent that the unpopular Alix was responsible for the royal disease of her son. And remember,
Of course she is.
Yeah.
Not him.
It's, totally not him, but really, they're distantly related, but it really was from her side of the family. It came from Queen Victoria. Alexandra felt that it was her fault and that God was punishing her by giving her a son with this ailment despite not really having any control over it. She wept and told the nurse, "If you only knew how fervently I prayed to God to protect my son from our inherited curse." Since this incurable illness threatened the sole heir of the emperor and the imperial family,
Did they put him in a bubble? Did they put him in a bubble? Was he the first boy in a bubble?
In a way.
Okay.
He always had a bunch of guards, like his own personal guard staff to make sure he didn't get a little too rowdy. You know what I mean? And so they were like, oh, shit. If we tell people he has hemophilia, then it doesn't look like God chose the czars. So we got to keep it a secret. Which, I mean, nobody can keep no secrets.
Probably don't want your enemies to know either, because then they know they could just give him paper cut and it's a wrap. Get him!
I'm going to give you 2 paper cuts.
Just to really make sure.
They didn't realize just how catastrophic it would be to hold this secret. So remember episode 1 where they're in the middle of the Russo-Japanese War, having started in 1904? This discovery happened when they had been on the losing end of an ill-planned war for 6 months. So firstly, she went to Russian doctors, like, fix this baby up, find a cure. Definitely did not find one.
Still haven't today.
Still haven't to the day. Alexandra decided, let me turn to faith for comfort. So she studied the Orthodox faith and saints and spent hours daily praying in her private chapel for deliverance. And that is the most bougie sounding thing. I got a private chapel. That's where I go see my God.
I don't know where you guys go.
It's all decked out in Gucci. To add to this terrible decisions, there was a huge amount of civil unrest in St. Petersburg with people protesting to turn the autocracy into a democracy because, Avi, a group of people are way better at making bad decisions. We're looking at you, Supreme Court and Congress. Coming out that the autocracy is weak as their heir would leave them doomed in a lose-lose scenario. So that's when Rasputin arrives in the picture, not on the picture. Anyways, Rasputin first met the Tsar on November 1st, 1905 at Peterhof Palace. The Tsar recorded the event in his diary, writing that he and Alexandra had made, quote, the acquaintance of a man of God, Grigory from Tobolsk province. Now, remember the Black Princesses? And I'm not talking about us. Militsa and Anastasia Montenegro. Mm-hmm. They arranged the meeting. He was the miracle worker and the mystic they had waited so long for. It also helps that they could use him as a puppet to influence and gain information from the royal family for their benefit. Because, I mean, if there wasn't a little drama, would it be a royal family?
Exactly.
I mean, if we didn't have a Camilla, like, would we...
And not your daughter.
Not my daughter. Well, the whore in England, as my grandma told me.
Hater.
Exactly. They just were using him pretty much. They thought he was like this simple Siberian peasant. He don't know nothing. We just gonna marionette his ass around this, the Tsar, and we're going to benefit from this. He enamored Alexandra and Nicholas with his folk phrasing and how he treated them as if they were just fellow peasants, intriguing them even more. It's like, have you ever seen how people had to, R.I.P. Queen Elizabeth, had to, like, they couldn't cross their legs in front of her or chew bubble gum. Like, there's all these different, like, protocols.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't look them in the eye or something. I don't know if you're going to steal their soul or whatever, but he
was crossing legs and popping bubbles.
Like, yeah, pretty much. He was like, he called them Batushka and Matushka, which are personal forms of mother and father. So, like, he called the Tsar little father and call her little mother. And in Russia, there's actually a formal you used to speak to officials and an informal you, which is for your friends and family. And he would use the informal. So the formal is fe and the informal is te, which sounds almost exactly the same. But whatever.
Yeah.
No linguist. Rasputin.
Definitely not.
Based off these phonetics, definitely
Listen
not.
to this pre-edit and you'll know she's not.
No. And so Rasputin used the informal against custom, which made him endearing to the royals. He was like a shiny new
Oh my
toy.
God, it's so sweet the way he's disrespectful.
Isn't he just fresh?
And he's so dirty.
He has a little smell, but it's earthy. You know what I mean?
If you pull his hair back, he's got double horns.
I feel like Gwyneth Paltrow. Okay.
Oh God.
Very goop situation. Just don't go skiing.
You know she won that.
I know. Isn't that wild? I didn't really watch it. I need to go back and watch it because it apparently was hysterical. She has some Jeffrey Dahmer glasses and everything.
Yes.
I don't understand why people are wearing those.
I don't either. People are fucking stupid. Except you guys that are listening to us. You guys
are amazing because you're listening to us. So he did not heal Alexei right away. He just hung with them time to time, entertaining them with his wily peasant ways. And the Tsarina and Tsar loved to hear his thoughts because they looked at him as the voice of the Russian people. He's a peasant. He's a peasant's peasant, He knows how it is.
He's the peasant of the peasants.
He's
the lead peasant.
He's OG peasant. You know what I mean? Like, I'm from Siberia. You know what's in Siberia?
Nothing.
Not a damn thing but horse thieves.
Nothing but peasants.
Sounds like a good song. Ain't nothing but peasants, baby.
I'm glad we're not called peasants anymore.
We call other people peasants, too. This was until 1907 when Alex called upon our friend, that's what they called him,
okay,
Grigory, to heal Alexei as he was suffering a painful internal hemorrhage. The 3-year-old Tsarevich had fallen and was started bleeding internally, severely, causing swelling and pain. And the doctors tried to heal him. Nothing was working. So he prayed over Alexei, and by the next day, he seemed back to normal, clutching his irreplaceable status in the Romanov family. Like, oh, we found him. It's the Messiah. He's stinky.
He was probably already fixing to get better.
Yeah,
he just happened to walk in at the right time and say a little.
There are some theories about it, like that Rasputin possibly hypnotized Alexei, or it was possibly like a Munchausen by proxy situation where he hired like a nurse or a maid to fuck with the kid, and then whenever he show up on the scene, be like, okay, don't do that shit anymore. I healed him.
Oh, gotcha.
And then it could be just mere coincidence. It could be also.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He also could have been given aspirin, which was a blood thinner, but they did not know that at the time. Once he told Alexandra that if the doctors don't mess with him too much, he'll be fine, which deterred them from giving him the aspirin, which would help in the situation, I guess. I don't know, not a doctor. But he was also known to be a horse whisperer, and it was believed that his...
That's right, he was.
Right? His presence would just calm Alex and Alexandra, causing his condition just to improve because Mama's not freaking out. Things are cool then, okay? And everything's cool. And then there's also the final reason that it probably could be, he was magical.
There we go. That's what I was waiting for.
I don't want to live
Don't
in a
leave that
world.
out. Don't you dare leave out the truth, Jennifer.
I don't want to live in a world that Rasputin wasn't magical. Okay?
I don't either. I don't want to live in a world where there aren't wizards and
fuck yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just crush all my husband's hopes and dreams.
Listen, have you met JJ, guys? He's precious and we need to protect him.
We do. He's sensitive. Little angel.
Him and Jimmy, the best friends.
So cute.
Regardless of it being magical or not, which I hope he was, the Romanovs were sold and they held him in like super high regards. Like an unspoken prayer request on Facebook, people were clueless as to what was happening, but they knew something was happening.
Something magical was happening.
Something magical. And of course, with this weird ass Siberian monk showing up out of nowhere, they're like, he's got something to do with this. I don't know what it is. Can't put my finger on it, but something ain't right. Because of that, for the next 5 years, crazy rumors about why Rasputin was close to the Romanovs would flourish. Several papers would just make up shit, which, I mean, when have papers never not made up some shit to get like a headline, okay?
Today, it's all the truth.
Like Rasputin's brief time as a Callisti was discovered. That was used against him. That he had a harem of 12 women in Pokoskovia, which probably was true, but like, I don't think he really cared about hiding shit either, so... he was accused by his enemies of religious heresy and rape. He was suspected of exerting undue political influence over the Tsar, like a cuckold. It was even rumored to be having an affair with the Tsarina because she would often kneel at his feet to beg him to never abandon them. Like,
well, he was healing her kid.
Yeah, like, oh Lord, oh Rasputin,
don't leave us.
Don't you leave, I need your healing hands. He was said to conduct weddings for villagers in exchange for sleeping on the first night with the bride. Like, I'm gonna break her in for you, okay?
I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, that was a rumor. But this also didn't get held.
I would be so mad if, like, on our wedding night, JJ's like, you got to sleep with that dirty ass man first.
He has some intense eyes. I heard it's a good time. Just use his clothespin for your nose.
I'd be like, it went on second thought.
You know what? I'm out.
Being an old maid living in the woods by myself doesn't sound so bad.
Listen, I'd eat Hansel and Gretel.
First of all, the life sounds great anyway.
Thank you. My house made out of candy. Tell me I don't want that. Say less. And so this would not be helped, like all these rumors, because he was a massive shit talker. Like, he loved to be that type that'd be like, you know who my dad is? But he'd be like, you know I'm friends with the Tsar? He would also allude...
Rasputin. So
like,
he'd be like...
I'm the Tsar's friend, and I fuck his wife.
Like, you ought to be lucky to get some of this dick on your wedding night.
Exactly. And then he just liked to shock the fuck out of people. He would talk about...
Now, I enjoy that, too.
Yeah, well, he would like to talk about the sexual prowess of horses.
That is shocking.
Done for self-gratification. He loved making people uncomfortable, weirding up the whole ass room, which I feel like I do that, but I don't think I do it with like
that's just your natural charisma
about
and charm.
Like some weird shit about death and about what they do with bodies and stuff. I'm not talking about horse dicks.
Have we probably addressed that in the podcast? Possibly. So maybe,
yeah.
It's possible we have.
But I would.
Oh, I talked about dog dicks in the one.
Oh yeah,
the toy box killer. But yeah, maybe
so
not
we're
horse
classy.
dick shit.
Okay, at least
Exactly.
we're. I don't know how to
Exactly.
even church that up. Like, look at us.
I mean, we do curse a little too much, according to our last review.
Oh my god, yes, I love that so much. She's so loud. Yes, I am.
Thank you for noticing.
Thanks. That's what made Jimmy so excited when he met me. He probably cried that first night in fear.
He was like, I'm the man. Listen to how loud she is. No, sir. She's always that loud.
She's just always. We were driving in the car. We had just started dating. And do you remember when you used to make your own, like, you burn your own CDs and you'd have,
Oh,
like,
yes, ma'am.
It was like rock, rock, rock. And then it was a rap song. And it was one that had like a real big beat drop at the beginning. And I just started like hood rat dancing in the front seat. And Jimmy was just like looking at me terrified. Like, oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Should have left then. Your
Should
mistake,
have.
sir. Your mistake.
I browbeat him into marrying me.
I believe it.
And so he would also, I mean, we already know that he was disgusting. So women would be disgusted by him, but they would also be like, he's so disgusting, he's attractive.
They were like, look at all those red flags he's waving.
I love it. Looks like Six Parks over Florida. Six Flags over Florida. Whatever. Anyways.
That's a fun ride.
That's a fun ride. Ooh, it's a little stinky, but
That's all right.
you might get an STD.
Hey.
Might get some herp in your eye or something.
If you don't get syphilis and go mad, are you really living in the times?
Are you? Another one of his disciples, Olga Lakina, became convinced that Rasputin was Christ and she was the Holy Virgin. She had abandoned her wealthy husband and children to devote herself to Rasputin and was seen in the street holding his penis saying, "You are Christ and I am your you."
Stop.
And then Rasputin would call her a skunk who demanded sin.
Quit.
Remember, he was married too.
Oh, yeah. She's all back in Siberia.
Oh, yeah. But she knew of this. Like, one time she was
She
giving...
was probably glad she wasn't holding his penis in the street while he called her a skunk.
like, oh, if somebody else carried
what
that.
in the fuck, bro?
And it would not... This is not going to be the last time we're going to talk about somebody grabbing his penis.
You're going to leave your money and wealth and comfort to hold some hobo's dick in the street? What the fuck?
With the fucking lump on
She
his
had
head.
syphilis and was going mad. I wish JJ would.
Well, like, so they had this house and she's giving a tour of the house and comes into a room, opens the door, and there's Rasputin fucking a woman. And she's like, oh, well, he called it exercising a demon, and she showed no emotion, saying, each man must bear his cross, and this is his.
She's screaming because I'm beating that demon out of her.
This is...
So many
I'm
red flags.
I'm sacrificing. Okay.
Do you know how hard it is to just beat this demon out?
He believed his horniness was a punishment by God to take care of it would cleanse him like it was a chore. Like, fuck.
I don't want to fuck all these people, but it's the cross that God has given me to bear.
You're gonna look at Jesus Christ on that cross, who died for your sins, and say, don't dip your wick in anything that walks. It's not very Christian of you.
This poor kid got hemophilia. Some people were born without a leg. You were born with horniness. Bless your soul. It's so much worse than everybody else.
Bless it.
You go up on the pulpit too and be like, heal me. Heal me. And they're like, Jesus, take away his horniness.
Oh, quit humping the pews.
I'm going to lay hands on you and heal you. By lay them on you, I mean rub your dick vigorously.
Women who were enchanted by the healer also came to Rasputin for advice and individual blessings. And
they were.
And they would receive a private audience with him.
Oh, I'm sure they would.
In his apartment, and jokingly called himself the Holy of Holies.
Of course.
He liked to preach a unique theology that one must become familiar with sin before having a chance to overcome it.
I feel like this episode should be titled The Original Douchebag.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't lay the foundation for the men today, I don't know who did.
He cast such a spell on his worshipful female followers that they were known to kiss his freshly licked fingers and vie for his leftover crust of bread.
I'm going to puke if you don't stop talking about this nasty shit. That is gross. They didn't have showers then.
No. In fact, it was probably, at the time, still popular to say it was unhealthy to shower too much.
And there wasn't toilet paper. And you want me to lick your motherfucking fingers?
Sorry, that was too...
Are you kidding me? That's how you get abdominal dysentery.
That's how you die of the shits.
Exactly.
So regardless of all the dumb shit Rasputin says, Alexandra stayed by his side and allegiant to him. He was the only person who could heal Alexei.
I'm so over these people.
Despite his shortcomings, which didn't seem short whatsoever, it was worth it to secure the health of the Tsarevich. Rasputin was straightforward with Alexandra and told her, neither the emperor nor you can do without me. If I'm not here to protect you, you will lose your son within 6 months.
That's just a good guess. He's probably going to die. He's got 6 months left at any time.
It feels
anyway.
like an abusive ex. Like, listen, ain't nobody going to want you.
That's right.
Only I want you.
That's right.
Bitch.
Told you, original douchebag.
Original. Alexandra blinded herself to the evidence of Rasputin's debauchery and the harm his presence did of the imperial and prestige. The director of the National Police told Alexandra that a drunk Rasputin had exposed himself. at a popular Moscow restaurant and bragged that Nicholas gave him sexual access to her, but she blamed the account on malicious gossip.
Of course he did, because now he's the guy that had too many drinks at the bar and goes out and pulls his dick out, and you're like, nobody wants to see that. So.
Right.
Nobody does.
Nicholas felt powerless due to Alexander's fierce allegiance and had sent him away. And had sent him away, Alexei would die. And then he would pretty much be a murderer in Alexander's eyes. So he's like,
she's not trying to have no more children all this time?
Mm-mm.
Just one and done with the boys?
That's it. Like, I can't do it no more. Which, I mean, I get it. 4 girls, then another one, and some other.
That's your only job, is to bear children at this time.
That's true, right? Oh, man.
And you didn't even take care of them.
No.
You had servants and shit that did.
No, you didn't have to get up in the middle. You didn't even dress yourself back in those days.
And you were still allowed to drink and smoke when you were pregnant then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were like, you know what? You need more wine.
They were like, you know what? You seem stressed. Let's get you a glass of whiskey.
No wonder why women stayed pregnant.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
I can drink, smoke, drop acid while I'm pregnant. And I don't take care of the children. I got you, fam. I was just kidding, guys. You don't really need to do that stuff while you're pregnant. It was bad.
Rasputin would make enemies almost immediately, with one of them being Prime Minister Peter Stulpin.
Now he's friends with the prime minister?
No. He did not they did not get along.
Oh, because the prime minister saw the
through
red
his
flags?
bullshit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So on August 25th, 1906, 3 assassins from the Union of Socialist Revolutionary Maximalists wearing military uniforms bombed a public reception where Stulpin was holding at his dacha. Is it dacha or dasha? That sounds like it's a German thing.
None of our listeners know either. You're good.
We good.
I'm just kidding, guys.
I don't speak no Russian. They bombed this reception for Stulpin, and he was barely scratched, but his daughter was seriously wounded and would later die from her injuries. His son went Lieutenant Dan, lost both his legs.
Stop.
And 28 others were killed. And despite having ordered an investigation into Rasputin's activities, by the Tsar's orders, Rasputin visited his daughter before she died. Stulpin would eventually confront the Tsar about Rasputin, but did not succeed in reining in his influence or exiling him from St. Petersburg. So, despite his vast rise to fame as the right hand of the Tsar, according to himself at least, he was still a good old Pokrovskovia boy and would visit home at least once a year, just get back to basics. Stella had to get her groove back. The townsfolk of Pokrovskovia adored Rasputin and called him Granddaddy Grishka. And that sounds so gross to say.
Mm-hmm.
I feel gross.
Was he making money and taking it back to his wife in Siberia or anything?
Yeah. Well, so he didn't get any money from the royals, but people would pay him for his
private encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
he was
people
a gigolo too.
And these courtiers from the Russian court would pay for things like the sisters. They bought him a fucking house and shit and furnished it.
Well, yeah, but his wife wasn't living there. I'm gonna need one in Siberia too.
Oh no, they did that too.
Oh, okay, cool. Go ahead. I would let JJ go ahead and go be a male gigolo as long as I'm getting shit back in Siberia.
As long as I get my dues, okay.
Yeah, as long as I got a house and my kids got some bread and
listen,
got
she
some
probably
chickens
won
in the yard.
most out of anybody in this ordeal. Like she got to be away from him all the time.
Exactly. Got a car. She had a car.
She had a cart.
She was ahead of her time. She had a car.
And so he would actually just give away things. Like he was very generous. So he'd see somebody come up that was like a hobo, be like, here's a couple shekels, go, get you something.
Go get you a nice coat.
Go get you something nice, okay? He would give away sweets
stupid.
to kid, which also that feels a little weird.
He would give
though.
what to kids?
Sweets.
That's how the original. I got some candy for you, little boy.
And I remember before, everybody hated him and thought he was like this fucking horse thief.
And then they're like, oh, look at him giving all the kids candy.
The prodigal son arrives home. Where did this money come from? Like we said, it came from like the Crow sisters. They actually funded him for 3 fucking years.
Nice. I need to start knocking on rich people's doors and telling them I can heal their children.
Right? He was actually...
All they got to do is hold my dick in the streets.
That's it. Just hold dicks out for Harambe. He was supremely... So with that house that they bought him, he was super proud of it. But he also was like, Avi, nouveau riche. So he would
He was like, I mean, it's okay for now, but we're
It
going to
would
have to
decorate
upgrade.
it in the most gaudy way possible.
Oh, very Trump-esque. You know, everything's gold. And,
Everything's gold, like, and then he would show off shit that he got from the royal couple, like, Tsarina Mamie's is short.
She got me this golden goseg.
This gold cross came from the Tsar.
I mean, I would probably flex too if I had all that.
It's like Russian MTV Cribs, you know? This is where the magic happens. I perform all my rituals.
This is where I get my private lessons and they hold my dick and lick my fingers. Oh my God.
So good. What's in my fridge, you ask? Vodka, Madeira, potatoes. I even got Jimmy to laugh out loud on that one.
Probably just because his ears are bleeding. He's like, oh, we finally made it to that point.
Fuck, Jesus Christ, she's so loud. There was a specific story that was said about him. Not sure if this one's true or not. There was a young poor mother who only had enough money to buy the leather to make shoes for one of her many daughters, which is also why I cannot live in that. I couldn't even just buy shoes. I had to go buy the leather and make that shit myself.
Oh, and you know I'm not crafty. I'd be like, look, get some
twine
leaves.
wrap this shit.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Better yet, the longer you walk on them barefoot, the tougher your feet get, and you'll be all right.
Listen, I'm helping you.
I'm helping you, making you a stronger person.
And so, like, if she could only buy one thing of leather to make a pair of shoes, only one of her children would be able to go to school. And Rasputin was functionally illiterate, so he actually took education seriously and bought all the leather needed for all the girls to attend school. And then when he heard that the shoe shop had tried to gyp them on, be like, no, that's not what he did. He was so furious, he made sure that he went down there like,
burnt that shop to the ground.
The hell you will. You're going to give this woman all the leather she wants. After I give her a private audience. The fame of being close to the Tsar made him very proud, but also very prominent and a threat to some. There would be police that would follow him home from St. Petersburg, reporting on his every move. It's not entirely out of the realm of question to say that if some hobo hippie pops up and becomes the bestie of the king, it warrants a little surveillance, but gots to have your head on a swivel, you know what I'm saying? For terrorists and shit.
All the time. They infiltrating your family.
Exactly. With his dick. They basically staked out his life, read his mail, reported on his movements, which sounds like the worst detail ever. They reported one time in 1910 that Rasputin still farms regularly and conducts his life in the manner of his fellow villagers. How did they do stakeouts in the 1800s?
So I was just wondering, I'm like,
are they in a horse and cart, like across
following
the
you?
road, the dirt road?
Right?
Rasputin, what are you doing?
Well, it sounds like they didn't do a stakeout because they were like, oh, he's just chilling and farming corn in his free time. And it's like, is he though?
Is he?
I heard he's outside restaurants drunk pulling his dick out. It doesn't sound like farming to me.
He's out here bragging about his thunder thimble, okay?
Put your little bird back in its pocket.
The little fish did get too big for the pond, as the reports dictate from his intense surveillance that gives us a very detailed record of his day-to-day life. He would complain about the town, how everyone was stupid. He was functionally illiterate, Becky. Everyone else was stupid.
Of course.
And then he would flex on his power, be like, there was a time that they were beautifying the Church of the Lady of Pokraskovia. And he decided, you know what? I'm going to make it rain. Here's 5,000 rubles. It was more than likely probably donated by Nicholas for this church, but it made old Rasputin look pretty fucking awesome. Like, oh my God, Look what he did to our church, guys. He was the person, though, also, who would make all the stylish decisions.
What? And
just like disappointed neighbors on Trading Spaces, he ordered gaudy shit like gilded and silver crosses and stuff. Like,
of course. Of course.
Just go in, like, are we Persian?
Give me your fucking brightest, most gaudy, most oriented thing. That's
well,
it.
You see that gold elephant over there? what to
Add
do.
some rubies and emeralds to it.
Yes.
Yes,
Sound
king.
off. Say
Yes,
king. So that's where we're going to leave off for now. Next time, we're going to pick up on Rasputin's downfall and all the things that will end the Romanov dynasty, just like these little linchpins. Not the exact deaths yet,
Okay.
but now shit's about to get real. So
And this isn't real, so stay tuned.
him holding his dick out in the
Middle of the street.
Child's
play.
You only thought hearing about the sexual prowess of horses was astonishing. You just wait till the next episode.
Can't wait. Edge on my seat.
So find us on our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. We do still have merch if you want to help a girl out. We also want to know what's your own Too Close to Home stories. And until next time.
And leave us a review.
Oh, yeah. Leave us a review.
Even if they're negative, like the one
Bro,
we
if
got
you're
the other
going to leave
day.
it negative, at least give some pizzazz. You know what I mean?
I
Really
know.
make me laugh about it.
Put some sparkle on it.
Throw
Don't
it.
tell me what I already know, that I cuss too much. I know that.
That's like literally in the advertisement for our podcast. Like,
I'll always be surprised, though. Like, you came here to listen about Rasputin out on the street with his dick in his hand, but the fact that I cursed was too far. That was too much, ma'am. I can hear about
here I
the
am,
lady.
I'm talking about a serial killer that pulled out someone's entrails, but saying fuck was a little too much for you.
Too much, ma'am. I can listen about Catherine Knight skinning her husband and making a skin suit hanging in the kitchen of him. But when you said shit, you lost me.
I can listen to Ed Gein talk making titty lamps all day long.
Yeah.
But you better not take the Lord's name in
In
vain.
Well, until then, friends, stay safe.
Keep your head on a swivel.
And don't bring it so close to home that you let a man stand outside your door with his dick in his hand.
If he says, hey, for $5, I'll give you a private audience, say no.
And then call us. We'll do it for $4.
We'll do it for $4. It's a bargain. Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode of Too Close to Home, don't forget to rate and subscribe to us on most platforms. Follow us on our social media at Too Close Home Pod on Facebook, at Too Close Podcast on Instagram, or if you have your own Too Close to Home experience, shoot us your story at tooclosetohome@yahoo.com. Thanks for listening.